Ready to watch the best horror movie that you've seen in a really, really long time? Well, pipe down, because Antlers is not it. But it's not that bad either. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss Antlers. Now this is a 2021 horror film. It stars Carrie Russell and Jeremy Thomas. Now before I get into why, even though this horror movie might lack on the horror at some points in this film, you should still watch it. I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss all things horror. You know, horror is really subjective. You're not going to get everything you need every time with a horror movie. Some of them are going to be lacking, but even though they are lacking, they're still worth the watch. There's still some quality there.
Go back.
Now that you guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me, let's get into this movie. Now this movie is directed by Scott Cooper. I do believe that this is his first attempt at directing horror, and I really don't think he did a bad job at all here. He's done, other films, but they've been more so in the realm of action and drama with things like Out of the Furnace and Black Mass. But here, I really think he shines, and I'm hoping that he does more in horror. But the light here is that this film is produced by Guillermo del Toro. And you know how he get down. He be outside. Now, as soon as this movie starts, it has this really eerie, wet, dark undertone to it, and it kind of gives you that Stephen King Maine feeling. It's dark, it's isolated, and it really caters to the setup of a drug-addicted dad. He's cooking up in an abandoned place where he shouldn't. He's attacked, and his young son with him is left to the same circumstances that he is. What those circumstances are initially, we don't know right away, but we can tell it's bad. It just felt bad. It's one of those moments where you're screaming, don't go in there, but they go in there anyway. They'll never listen. Now, even though this film may lack in some areas, I really like the way that they executed the monster here. They went with the less is more situation. We really don't see anything initially. We really don't see anything into maybe the ending of the film. We really get, that clear visual, but we get little peaks and bounds here, show a little leg and take it right back. They tease us with the monster. I love that. Don't give me some monster all in the light, all in my face. Reveal it to me slowly. Less is more. Now, getting into our characters, we have Carrie Russell here, who will always and forever be Felicity to me. It's horrible, I know. But she is a teacher. She just moved back in with her brother, and she also carries her own trauma early on in the film due to her childhood. You see, maybe she has a battle with alcoholism. She's been subjected to abuse physically and sexually courtesy of her father, and it's caused her to leave the small town in the first place. But she instantly has kind of this savior complex with the child at hand due to her background. This is a child in her class, and he's showing clear signs of neglect, and she feels like he's screaming out for help, and she wants to help him in the way that no one helped her when she was a young child. Now, this whole relationship here really lacks because it happened so fast. We literally have the movie start, and instantly she's already new to the town. She doesn't know anybody. She carries her own trauma. She has, this struggling relationship with her brother. We can understand, her wanting to seek help for the boy, but there's just this instant need to help him, care for him, lift him up. Like, she is just really, really attached. And it's like, well, damn, get us a little bit more invested, because we're just not believing it. We believe in who wouldn't want to help a neglected child. But the way that she just latches on to him, and that weight is supposed to carry us all the way through to the end of the film, and her need to just save him, it didn't stick like I needed it to. Now, the child in question here is Lucas, Mr. Jeremy T. Thomas. He really delivers here. For the most part, him being a newcomer and kind of discovering him here in this film and him projecting all that he needed to project in this film, that was the best thing about this film. I love discovering new talent, and I feel like this kid is talented, and I'm hoping to see him more. But this is the kid in question who was left behind. The father and the younger brother have been attacked from what we can see, but he, on the other hand, is broken, he's malnourished, he's frightened, he's abused, and really just has an all-around dark outlook at life from what we can see through his drawings and his passive behavior. And he is now responsible to feed the non-stop hunger of his newly infected family. They want everything from regular food all the way up to roadkill. And we really get invested in situations like that because you know from all the horror movies before, this is only going to escalate. That nonstop, insatiable hunger for roadkill, you know, raw meat always turns into human flesh. And we live for the human flesh. Now, this is a folklore, mystical creature like horror. I feel like we've been seeing more of that in the past few years. You know, that mythical, misty creature, that thing in the woods, that thing that's been on Earth long before time, you know, that's been wrong, that's come back to collect, that thing. It was very much giving me The Ritual. This was a film released on Netflix not too long ago, and it was really, really good. And this movie, I feel like it took some cues from that, even all the way down to the monster design. The creature very much looked like the same thing from The Ritual movie. I saw that. Don't be trying to play. Now, even though this movie is a very slow burn, in my opinion, we do have that anticipation of, you know, that thing in the closet, that thing, the dad and the son that is completely stressing this little 12-year-old out. He is solely responsible to feed them. He's dealing with a bully. He's trying to keep them under wraps, but that can only, you know, suffice us for so long. We also intertwine that with Carrie Russell's story arc, you know, with her being troubled as an adult, dealing with the memories of the things that are part to deal with her, that complex relationship she has with her brother. You know, that's all good and fine, but I just kind of felt like it was a little underdeveloped. A lot of things, if they just put a little more oomph in it, it would have really hit, but they tried with the time that they had and the pacing that they had, but everything with her just really seemed a little forced because we just didn't have that strong bump built with her as protagonist. So we're just left with her desire to save this young boy, and it's just like, I have to because I gotta, it's the right thing to do. But it would have helped if we had a little bit more breadcrumbs to help us along. But what saves us here is the body horror. There's some really decent body horror here. And I live for some good body horror. Like, we need that. In the world of all the CGI and the bad graphics and shit that just looks like, why did y'all do that? This slow progress and transformation that we get courtesy of the father and then the younger brother, it is just really great to look at, and you're just like, oh my God, I cannot wait until his whole situation is fulfilled and this transformation is over, because I feel like we're going to have something really eye-catching to look at. I really wish that the transformation lasted a little bit longer. Like, I want to see that slow, gruesome carnage, but you know, everybody's not about that life, and that's okay. But when we do actually get it and it becomes the Antlers due to some random person horror movie stupidity, you know, that horror movie stupidity when, you know, they go looking for you, just go looking to get murdered, some of that stuff. Even though we have that trope happening, when we actually have him get that first taste of human flesh and that transformation goes, and it's just like, yes, this is what we have been waiting on. The killer's escaping. Let's go. Now, even though we just had that really great transformation, this is where the story may begin to lag. I personally thought once we had him do that full-on transformation and the dad and the son are no longer locked away and this beast is left to, you know, kind of ravage the world, the woods and whatnot, I thought shit was finna kick up and we was about to get murder after murder. This is not that kind of movie. This is when they pull us back and say, calm down. This is more so about the humanity of this beast and this still being the father. Now, during the transformation, we do get a flashback and we actually see, you know, the dad having the forethought to go, I'm changing, I'm sick, I may harm you, let me lock myself away, don't open this door at all. And once the younger son gets sick also, he takes him in there too. And we see this transformation happening, but he has yet to attack his son. He wants flesh really, really bad. He's really, really hungry along with the younger son, but they have yet to attack their brother. And I think it was supposed to be a lot to be said about the fact, even though he got into that full-on transformation, he still had traits and thoughts of, these are my sons, I'm the father, I'm gonna protect them, beast or not. The person was still in there. That's cool. I thought we was gonna get some blood and guts, but it's cool. Now, the movie also gives us a few more tropes before we get all the way to the end. We do have them take a moment to explain the origins of the monster. And it's really, really run of the mill. I really wanted them to invest a little bit more time in that. It's one of those, we found an old book situation. This is this old, creature before time, and this is the way you kill it. You have to do this and take out the heart. We get, what we need to know. So when we get to the end, we know what the protagonist needs to do, but it felt really rushed. And we also have the trope of the townspeople, a couple of bodies starting to pop up, and they know the thoughts of the allure of the mystical creature, but it's like, oh no, we're not gonna believe it just because why? Because we're not, because I'm a small town sheriff and we don't believe shit. You know how this goes. Now, once we get all the way to the end of the film and we have this poor teacher just like instant rice trying to protect this young boy, we aren't really left with a whole lot. We are left with a young boy who is quite confused, and even though it is this beast at this point with antlers, he still identifies this as his dad, and even more so than the dad, at least I still have my brother. I want to go with my family. You literally have this young boy like trying to get away from her, like I want to be, that's my family, but you have this teacher just constantly trying to protect him, and on her role to protect him, everybody and their mama has to get killed. Like, girl, like we need that. All the way down to her brother who gets attacked. Now, they have had their combative relationship, and you do see that, they're trying to work on that, but you have him get stabbed by the antlers. Now, the folklore goes that, if you're stabbed, then you're, kind of considered infected if you didn't die, and if the animal, the creature, passes on, it transfers itself into the next infected victim, meaning, this beast now is the dad. Once he's dead, then it goes into the son, and so on and so forth. But after she, kind of holds him against his will, like, let that baby go. It just didn't give us that impactful thing that we needed, because we didn't feel any relationship with them. He spent so much time trying to get away from him and get away from her and be with his family. So when she actually runs away and he's with his family, and of course she goes to track him down, when they have that grand stance, that fight at the end, the only thing I really liked about the ending is when we got a really clear picture of the monster and how massive he is, and that creature design. It was, a little CGI involved, but it wasn't much. Like, the mixture of CGI and real life effects was really, really good. So that looked good. The creature is what carries this movie along, honestly, in that body horror. But when we have the son kind of step in, and it's just like, I understand what she's trying to say now. This is my father, but it's not. And he gives his father that final stab. It just doesn't make sense, because it just felt like it was all of a sudden. He saw the full-on creature before we ever did. He knew what his father was capable of. He knew the transformation had happened, but yet up until that moment, he still saw him as his dad, and the antler figure was kind of coddling them like some baby cubs or some shit. But it just kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. But of course, since we have that creature dead now, it instantly transfers into the son, because he was the most recent and the most close by that was infected, and in turn she has to kill the son, and we just kind of have him quickly coming to terms with that. And it's just like, well, damn, that was fast. You've been trying to get next to them this whole movie. But we pretty much end off with her taking him in, because that's what I have to do, because that's all she's ever wanted. And we have the brother who was infected doing the attack and was stabbed, and now he's, subjected to that same folklore creature, and it's just like, well, damn, now you gotta take your brother out. But honestly, this was not, I'm kind of, in between with this film. I had a really good time. I really like when we get good old-fashioned body horror creatures. It's not a bunch of CGI, and for the most part the story made sense. And you know, that's a whole lot when you come to horror nowadays. Like, you asking for too much for a story to make sense and some good graphics. So just due to that, it's pretty decent. It's a decent film. Is it amazing? If it would have got, you know, a little hot sauce, it would have pushed it along, but it just didn't go that extra mile, and it kind of had a rush feeling. But if we could have got a little bit more invested in both of our lead characters, spent some more time with Carrie Russell, kind of developing her and developing their bond to get that grand climax of them coming together at the end, this would have been something. But they didn't do that, so we kind of got half of what we needed. But with the half that we did get, I still feel like it's worth the watch, especially if you're a horror fan. Well, you guys, that was my review for Antlers. I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop down and tell me what you thought about this film. If you've seen it, please drop down and tell me, you know, if you're interested in more horror reviews. I love me some good horrors, you know. Anything anybody want to drop. Some Japanese horror, I'm all here for it. That is pretty much my favorite genre, especially as of right now. They have been coming with it as far as horror. Everybody else, go sit in the back. But you guys drop down and get those comments rolling. I appreciate you for watching this video. I see you guys next time. Bye.